Curiously, the 1938 adaptation of A Christmas Carol began its casting months before cameras rolled. As MGM looked for actors who embodied Dickens' characters with warmth and gravity, Lionel Barrymore was initially promised the iconic role of Ebenezer Scrooge. His yearly radio performances made him a favorite. When illness struck, the search intensified, leading to Reginald Owen, a seasoned British actor, whose screen test immediately impressed producers with a chilling yet vulnerable take on Scrooge. During his audition, Owen blended fierce anger with glimpses of sorrow, which convinced the team he could handle Scrooge's sweeping transformation. Moving forward, the choice for Bob Cratchit involved screen chemistry with Owen, since their partnership would drive the film's emotional heart. Gene Lockhart, with his gentle delivery and everyman presence, shone brightest in readings, and a pivotal chemistry test alongside Owen sealed his fate. The producers found something special in choosing Lockhart's own wife, Kathleen, to portray Mistress Cratchit, bringing natural family dynamics that radiated on screen. Meanwhile, the search for Tiny Tim demanded innocence and charm. After dozens of hopefuls, young Terry Kilburn stood out, captivating everyone with an earnest spirit and a fragile voice that tugged at the heartstrings during his simple, "God bless us, everyone" reading. Casting the Ghost took a different approach. MGM sought actors with a memorable look and voice, so Leo G. Carroll, who had a mysterious elegance, seemed perfect for Marley's ghost. Across auditions, the team favored actors who reinterpreted these spectral figures rather than copying past performances, so each ghost felt distinct and fresh. Throughout, the director Edwin L. Marin insisted on frequent group rehearsals where actors could test relationships and emotional tones, enabling spontaneous moments that made it into the final film. Gradually, these choices shaped the cast into a family, each member bringing warmth, gravity, or a touch of whimsy that would echo through generations of viewers who returned each year to watch Scrooge's transformation unfold. Initially, Edwin L. Marin's direction of the 1938 film, A Christmas Carol, blends classic Hollywood storytelling with an emerging sense of realism and subtlety. Drawing inspiration from stage traditions and early cinematic adaptations, Marin approached the film with the goal of making Dickens' story feel both warm and accessible, focusing less on horror and more on redemption and family. Marin's style avoids heavy melodrama, using gentle camera movements and soft lighting that create a sense of nostalgia. He worked closely with Reginald Owen, who played Scrooge, helping him portray the character as both stern and eventually sympathetic. Marin often held rehearsals that encouraged cast members to share their ideas, fostering an environment that allowed for natural performances rather than theatrical ones. This method gave the movie scenes a sense of authenticity, especially during the Cratchit family moments. Influenced by the subdued elegance of 1930s Hollywood productions, Marin collaborated with set designers to create detailed Victorian streets and interiors that supported the mood without overwhelming the actors. Each frame combines a careful balance of shadow and warmth, reflecting the director's desire to show both the coldness of Scrooge's world and the hope that grows as he changes. By encouraging the crew to work harmoniously and keeping the tone optimistic, Marin's vision ensured the story's message about generosity and transformation remained clear and heartfelt through every scene. Imagine going back in time to 1938, when A Christmas Carol first appeared on movie screens. This famous film tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, a selfish man who changes his ways after ghosts visit him on Christmas Eve. People have watched this movie for years, but did you know there are many funny, shocking, and sad facts about it? Keep watching this video to discover more. Some actors in the movie spoke lines that had to be removed because the studio worried they would scare children. The snow in the movie wasn't real. It was actually made out of cornflakes painted white. During filming, a live mouse ran across the set, causing actors to break character and laugh so hard the director had to stop the scene. When I first watched this movie, it made me think about how important family is during the holidays and how anyone can really change for the better. Can you share a personal story of how this movie has inspired or impacted your life? Maybe you learned a lesson about kindness or forgiveness. Are there any lesser-known facts or funny stories about this movie that fascinate you? For example, some people say that an actor who played one of the ghosts was so good at being scary that children in the audience cried during the first showings. What about you? What is your most cherished memory or personal experience related to A Christmas Carol? We would love to hear your stories and memories in the comments below. Across the busy MGM lot in 1938, the making of A Christmas Carol buzzed with energy. The crew pulled out all the stops to recreate the shadowy, gaslit streets of Victorian London right in California. Carpentry shops built twisted, old-looking storefronts from fresh lumber, with scenic painters aging every door and window by hand. Cobblestone streets were laid out on sound stages, ringed by facades so detailed that every shop sign and street lamp looked as though it belonged on the other side of the Atlantic. For shots needing outdoor crowd scenes, MGM used portions of its famous New York Street backlot, repurposed with snow made from bleached cornflakes, salt, and gypsum to capture the chilly, worn-down atmosphere of Scrooge's London. The lighting team faced the challenge of making California sunshine into moody British fog, so they used gauzy filters, heavy overhead rigs, and stage smoke to achieve the cold, wintry look. Sound designers layered in bells and carolers, while careful mic placements made sure dialogue cut through even the busiest street scenes. To cap it off, new special effects made the spectral visitations unforgettable for Marley's ghost. Double exposure and clever wire rigs let him glide wordlessly through doors. For the ghosts of Christmas past and present, trick mirrors, soft lights, and colored gels gave an otherworldly glow that audiences hadn't seen before. Logistics were tough, with cast and extras packed into narrow sets, working long nights as snow machines churned, and lighting teams reshuffled every few minutes to chase the look of a foggy winter dusk. All the while, carriages rolled, storekeepers shouted, and a genuine chill ran through the set, giving the film a feeling that stuck with viewers long after the credits rolled. Although A Christmas Carol from 1938 has been cherished by many viewers over the decades, opinions on its approach and style differ somewhat. Many recall it fondly as a timeless holiday classic, especially those who first saw it as children. The movie offers a sense of nostalgia, whisking viewers back to simpler times, with its heartfelt message about transformation and redemption. Reginald Owen's portrayal of Ebenezer Scrooge stands out as both memorable and unique, leaving a strong impression with his embodiment of the miser's journey from greed to generosity. Some viewers particularly enjoy how the film softens the harshness of Dickens' tale, favoring a more light-hearted, even comedic touch. This lighter mood sets it apart from some other, more somber versions of the story, which some find makes it easier to watch with family. The comedic moments, especially those centered around the eccentric Cratchit family and Scrooge's distinctive appearance, add a layer of fun that brings levity to the familiar narrative. At the same time, not everyone appreciates this lighter tone. Certain viewers feel that the comedic approach, while entertaining, detracts from the darkness and depth at the heart of Dickens' original work. Instead of focusing on the profound impact of Scrooge's transformation, the film sometimes leans into playful interpretations, which might not satisfy those seeking a more serious or faithful adaptation. Nevertheless, the craftsmanship for its time receives recognition. The ghosts, portrayed with the limited effects available in the late 1930s, managed to hold up and still evoke surprise and reflection for many viewers. The supporting cast, including Gene Lockhart as Bob Cratchit and Kathleen Lockhart, helped shape a believable family dynamic that adds warmth to the story. Director Edwin L. Marin guides the film with a gentle hand, blending elements of humor, family, and redemption to create a version of A Christmas Carol that remains watchable and even beloved to this day. Whether the film's lighter, cheerful style is seen as a strength or a weakness, it's clear that the 1938 adaptation has a special place in the landscape of holiday films, remembered fondly by some for its gentle spirit, though perhaps missed by others who prefer a more authentic or somber take. Throughout the making of the 1938 film A Christmas Carol, music played a vital role in bringing Charles Dickens' world to life. Composer Franz Waxman, known for his gift in creating evocative scores, crafted music that worked like a silent actor in the background, carrying both the hopeful message of redemption and the drama of Ebenezer Scrooge's experience. Waxman worked closely with the director and the rest of the production team to decide where music should swell and where it should retreat, always mindful of Dickens' emotional story. His use of strings often swirled gently during scenes with the Cratchit family, suggesting warmth and love despite their poverty, while harsher brass and darker tones followed Scrooge through his cold, empty home. Church bells and distant carolers were subtly woven into the background, connecting the story to the time period and reinforcing the film's Christmas setting. Musicians performing on the soundtrack strove to mirror the characters' transformations, growing brighter as Scrooge awoke to generosity. The creative team wanted to make sure viewers could feel the chill of a lonely winter's night or the hope that comes with forgiveness, even without looking at the screen. The music never overpowered the dialogue but instead underscored turning points, such as Scrooge's visit from Marley's ghost, with trembling notes that created suspense and fear. In quieter moments, simple arrangements recalled traditional Christmas songs, grounding the film in familiar holiday traditions that older audiences recognized. The overall effect was a score that quietly guided the emotional tone of each scene, so that viewers left the film not only remembering Scrooge's journey, but also carrying with them the spirit of the music that helped define his change of heart. At the end of 2023, two people from the cast are still alive: June Lockhart and Terry Kilburn. Terry Kilburn is recognized for delivering two of the most memorable closing lines in film history. He famously said, "God bless us everyone," in this adaptation, a phrase that has become closely associated with the story and the character Tiny Tim. The following year, he closed Goodbye, Mr. Chips with Goodbye, Mr. Chips, another line that holds significance in British film history. June Lockhart, who played one of Bob Cratchit's daughters, later became known for her television roles, reflecting how some actors continued their work long after this early film. In December 2014, Turner Classic Movies brought this version back to theaters for a special event, pairing it with Christmas in Connecticut. This double feature gave audiences a chance to revisit classic holiday stories on the big screen. Over time, the film's legacy has remained visible thanks to periodic screenings, its place in holiday television lineups, and the lasting impact of Kilburn's performance as Tiny Tim. Suddenly, the scene in which Ebenezer Scrooge sits alone in his cold, dimly lit counting house stands out as one of the most memorable moments in the 1938 version of A Christmas Carol. Director Edwin L. Marin uses careful staging and shadowy lighting to underscore Scrooge's isolation. Reginald Owen's performance as Scrooge is chilling at first. He uses clipped movements and a hard stare, making his lack of warmth almost palpable. Light surrounds Scrooge just enough to highlight his harshness without breaking the gloom, and audiences feel a deep sense of distance from him, echoing the way he keeps others out. Later, when Scrooge is visited by Marley's ghost, the film uses smoky visuals and close-up shots to show Scrooge's fear and disbelief. Owen visibly trembles, contrasting with Leo G. Carroll's haunting, measured performance as Marley. The actors commented in interviews that the strong lighting and real chains made the physical struggle feel ominous and exhausting, which translated on screen to a believable tension. During the Ghost of Christmas Past sequence, soft focus and gentle lighting served to contrast Scrooge's harsh present. The director uses transitions and dissolves to move between Scrooge's memories, with child actors showing a more hopeful, innocent version of Scrooge. As Francis L. Sullivan, who played the ghost, explained, keeping his movements slow and his voice calm created a sense of otherworldliness, heightening the impact of Scrooge's regret when reliving his past. When Scrooge witnesses the Cratchit family's sparse Christmas, the camera frames the actors closely, focusing on their faces to capture simple joys and quiet worries. Gene Lockhart, playing Bob Cratchit, later said that showing quiet dignity was key, and the warmth in his eyes brought empathy from the audience even as he delivered minimal dialogue. As the ghost of Christmas yet to come silently points to Scrooge's grave, tension peaks. The filmmakers chose fog and near total darkness, making the scene almost nightmarish. Reginald Owen described having to react with raw terror, emphasizing Scrooge's sense of doom and the chilling realization of his fate if he remains the same. Finally, when Scrooge awakens on Christmas morning, bright daylight floods the room. Owen's transformation is complete. His wild laughter and hurried movements show a release of joy. Cast and crew recalled that this moment of celebration was filmed with every light in the studio turned on to signal hope both for Scrooge and the world. The contrast between shadow and brightness, coldness and warmth, runs through the film, bringing both the threat of loneliness and the chance for redemption into sharp relief for viewers. Even though Hallowell Hobbs was included in studio records and casting call lists for The Adventures of Robin Hood from the same year, he never made it to the final scenes and is not visible in the final product. Meanwhile, Anne Rutherford's early career is often recorded with confusion. Instead of Waterfront Lady, her real film debut happened in Student Tour, when she used the name Joan Arlen. The story behind her appearance is linked to her sister, who was going by Judith Arlen at that time. When an audition call came for Miss Arlen, Anne took the opportunity herself, stepping in and starting her film path this way. During this first role, Anne and Jimmy Durant posed for promotional stills, where Anne would playfully interact with Durant's hair and capture his attention, foreshadowing her growing ease in front of cameras. Casting for Scrooge saw its own change when Lionel Barrymore, initially chosen for the lead part, withdrew due to illness. He encouraged Reginald Owen, a friend and fellow actor, to step in. To support the film's reception, Barrymore decided not to do his usual radio version in 1938, making room for the film to succeed. However, he still appeared in a special preview short created to promote the release and connect with audiences, sharing his support and presence while Reginald Owen took on the famous role. Back then, the 1938 film A Christmas Carol brought Charles Dickens' classic story to the big screen in a way that connected strongly with people facing hard times. With the Great Depression fresh in memory, many saw themselves in the struggles of Bob Cratchit and the plight of the poor. The film's warm, sentimental tone, especially in the scenes showing the Cratchit family sharing love despite their hardships, inspired hope. The character of Ebenezer Scrooge became a symbol of greed and selfishness, and his transformation offered audiences the possibility of redemption and kindness. The movie helped cement the story as a holiday tradition by appearing on television each year, shaping how generations imagined the characters and settings. With its memorable performances and early use of special effects for the ghostly visitors, the film had a lasting influence on holiday storytelling and pop culture, encouraging countless TV specials, cartoons, and later movie adaptations. The message that caring for others and community are more valuable than money became part of how Americans thought about Christmas. The film even contributed to conversations about poverty and charity, reminding viewers that it takes only one person's change of heart to spark wider social goodwill. At a time when people were seeking comfort and meaning, the 1938 movie gave them both, becoming a touchstone for what the holiday spirit could mean on screen and in real life. Later, in Hollywood's history, key figures who played small roles in the making of this drama continued shaping entertainment for decades. Stanford Jolly, whose wife Emily Hacker Jolly was a pillar of their show business family, lived through a century of film and stage history before her passing at 102. Their son, Stan Jolly, pursued his own career until 2012, illustrating the lasting legacy of families involved with classic cinema. Costume design in this adaptation was focused on historical accuracy, showing different time periods from colonial years when Scrooge was a boy to mid-1800s England, where most of the plot unfolds. This attention to detail helps viewers track the progression of Scrooge's life and the changing world around him. The central performance by Reginald Owen gives the film a strong presence. Years after his role as Scrooge, Owen brought another memorable character to life as Admiral Boom in Mary Poppins. The cast and creative team not only paid careful attention to detail, but set a high standard for other versions that followed, connecting their work to a broader tradition of film and family ties in Hollywood. Surprisingly, when the 1938 movie adaptation of A Christmas Carol premiered, critics offered a mix of praise and reservation. Bruce admired Reginald Owen's performance as Ebenezer Scrooge, appreciating his ability to make the character both harsh and oddly sympathetic. Critics also liked the film's warm lighting, costuming, and clean set designs, which created a cozy atmosphere suited to the holiday season. Some newspaper reviews noted that compared to earlier adaptations, particularly the 1935 version starring Seymour Hicks, the 1938 film felt gentler and easier for families and children to watch, thanks to the toned-down presentation of the ghosts. And the story's frightening moments. On the other hand, a few critics argued that the movie lacked dramatic weight and thought it moved too quickly, glossing over deeper themes in favor of a brisk, family-friendly pace, while some longtime fans of Charles Dickens' book felt the adaptation lost a bit of the dark edge and complexity of the original tale. General moviegoers seemed satisfied. Audience reactions were generally warm, especially during the holiday season, with families praising its uplifting message and nostalgic mood. Over time, the movie became a holiday staple on television, which helped its reputation and introduced it to new viewers every Christmas season, even though the initial reception was not overwhelming. As far as awards go, the film did not receive major nominations or prizes at the time of its release. Unlike some contemporaries, Hollywood's award culture had not yet embraced holiday classics or family-focused films in the way later decades would. However, the The way the 1938 version has endured in popular culture reflects a kind of lasting success for those who made it, cementing their roles in perhaps the most watched and adapted Christmas story in film history. Over the years, several actors from this adaptation had remarkable careers connected to celebrated filmmakers and important films. Terry Kilburn is notable for working with 3 Academy Award-winning directors Norman Taurog, Walter Reich, and Stanley Kubrick. In addition, Kilburn acted under the direction of 6 nominees for the Oscar, including Sam Wood, W.S. Van Dyke, Garson Kanin, Mervyn Leroy, Clarence Brown, and Otto Preminger. This suggests that Kilburn's talents were valued by some of the best in the film industry, giving him an impressive background even outside his role in this particular production. Similarly, June Lockhart brings a unique family connection to the story. She is the daughter of Jean and Kathleen Lockhart, and all 3 performed together in the same film, making it a rare example of an entire family sharing the screen. Furthermore, Billy Bevan's film achievements go beyond just this film. He took part in 3 productions that later won the Academy Award for Best Picture: Cavalcade, Rebecca, and Mistress Miniver. His presence is also found in several other Oscar-nominated films such as A Tale of Two Cities, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, The Long Voyage Home, and Suspicion, showing a record that places him in many respected projects during Hollywood's golden era. Each of these actors brought to their roles not just their skills, but also extensive experience from working with well-known directors and being involved in major studio productions, connecting this holiday tale to a larger history of classic cinema. During the filming of the 1938 adaptation of A Christmas Carol, the set was alive with energy and occasional mischief. Reginald Owen, who played Ebenezer Scrooge, wore heavy makeup and a wig to age him, and after long hours under the hot studio lights, he would sometimes sneak off set for a breath of fresh air, causing the crew to scramble when it was time for his next scene. Meanwhile, young Terry Kilburn, who played Tiny Tim, found himself doted on by both cast and crew, especially Jean Lockhart and Kathleen Lockhart, a real-life husband and wife playing the Cratchits, who often treated him like their own child. Between takes, to keep the festive mood high, cast members sang carols off-camera, and every so often, the prop department would swap out Scrooge's dour office props for bits of Christmas fruit or a hidden candy cane, hoping to coax a grin out of Owen before takes. The special effects used for Marley's ghost required wires and smoke machines, and crew members joked about Marley haunting the set for real whenever a draft creaked one of the old stage doors. No one can forget that the snow for the London streets was made from painted cornflakes, and extras would carefully avoid crunching too loudly so the microphones wouldn't pick up the noise. Filming stopped several times when laughter echoed after someone slipped on the slick flakes, turning a tense scene into a moment of shared amusement. Between costume changes and makeshift meals around a single glowing light bulb, friendships grew. The atmosphere blended hard work with warmth, persistence, and the shared hope that their efforts would capture just a bit of Dickens' original Christmas magic for audiences everywhere. Over time, the 1938 movie A Christmas Carol has become one of the most recognizable versions of Charles Dickens' classic tale. Released during a period of economic hardship, the film's message about generosity and redemption struck a powerful chord with audiences. Its straightforward storytelling, atmospheric black-and-white cinematography, and Reginald Owen's stern yet ultimately softened portrayal of Ebenezer Scrooge set a standard for how later films, television shows, and stage adaptations would interpret the character. The movie's use of shadow and foggy London streets gave it a sense of mood that filmmakers would try to capture in decades to come. Through careful pacing and a focus on Scrooge's internal struggle, it managed to fit an entire emotional journey into a brisk running time, making themes of regret and hope accessible for viewers of all ages. Its lasting influence shows in the countless times the story has been reimagined, sometimes with musical numbers, animation, or even comedic twists. But the tone set by this adaptation never went away. The film inspired later directors to treat classic literature with both respect and creativity, paving the way for ambitious retellings of works by Dickens and other authors for Hollywood and beyond. Its annual holiday broadcast became a tradition, reminding generations of the story's timeless message and helping to turn Scrooge from a simple villain into a complex, relatable figure. As a result, A Christmas Carol from 1938 remains a foundation for how filmmakers adapt not just Dickens, but any classic work, proving that even the oldest stories can find new life on the screen. Over the years, The 1938 movie adaptation of A Christmas Carol has left an impression on countless viewers. Maybe the film's black and white charm, or Reginald Owen's portrayal of Ebenezer Scrooge drew you in, making Victorian London come alive on the screen. The transformation of Scrooge from miser to generous soul often inspires people to reflect on their own approach to kindness, forgiveness, and gratitude during the holiday season and beyond. Perhaps you watched it with family year after year, its familiar lines and somber ghostly visits acting as a bridge between generations. Share how the film has shaped your feelings about Christmas, or maybe influenced your love of classic cinema and storytelling. Has it changed how you see other adaptations, or even sparked an interest in old Hollywood films? Share your personal story in the comments. If this film holds a special place in your heart, let others know by liking and sharing with friends who may have similar memories. Subscribe for more discussions about timeless movies and their impact on us all.